The clock is ticking, and the AP Chemistry exam is getting closer and closer and closer. It seems like just yesterday you had months to get ready, and now it's down to weeks and even days. So the question is, how do you study for the AP Chemistry exam? Hi there, my name is Jeremy Krug, and I've taught AP Chemistry for the past 24 years, and I've helped hundreds of students pass the exam. And now I'm going to share my top 7 study tips with you. But before we start, if you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe. That way you'll have full access to my complete AP Chemistry video course right here on YouTube with 101 video lessons, along with AP question walkthroughs, quick review videos, tutorials, everything you need for AP Chem right here in one place. And if you like what you see, if you'd be so kind as to hit that like button, that way YouTube will recommend my videos to other students too. So let's get started. The number 7 study tip for AP Chemistry: form a study group. If you're taking the AP exam, there's a good chance you're not alone at your school, and you can get a lot of benefit out of studying with some of your classmates. The reason a study group works so well is that sometimes you need an accountability partner. If you promise yourself you're going to study on your own, you might find an excuse not to study at all. Your favorite TV show, social media, friends, something else. But if you've committed yourself to 2 hours with your study group on a Saturday morning, for example, you're a whole lot more likely to follow through and actually study for those 2 hours you've set aside. The sweet spot for a study group seems to be around 4 or 5 people. Work through problems together, go through multiple choice questions together, and see what works best for your group. So ask around in class and find some like-minded students and see who wants to form a study group. Get together somewhere convenient, whether it's at the library, a coffee shop, or the park. When it comes to studying, I really do think there's strength in numbers. Tip number 6, review the content. This may seem obvious, but here's the thing. You've learned all these great chemistry skills, how to solve equilibrium problems, working with the periodic table, but the honest fact is that AP Chem has a huge curriculum, arguably one of the most comprehensive and largest curricula in all of the 38 AP courses out there. AP Chemistry has a whopping 91 specific topics spread out over 9 units. That's a lot. And by the time you get to the end of the course, there's a good chance you've forgotten a lot of the details of those earlier units. So you need to review the full course content. You can break out your notes from class. Lots of students use my quick unit review videos where I review each unit in about 10 minutes. So you can get through the main ideas of the entire course in less than 2 hours. Thousands of students have used my review videos to help them get ready for their unit exams and for the AP test, and I think you'll like them too. The number 5 tip for studying AP Chemistry: practice the content. Watching videos and reviewing your notes is great, but it's not enough if you're serious about passing the AP exam. You need to work practice problems to be able to apply the knowledge that you've acquired throughout the year. You've all heard that practice makes perfect. Well, it might be more accurate to say that practice makes proficient. Everybody makes mistakes. I know I do. But the more you practice, the better your work will be, and the fewer mistakes you'll make. You can use your textbook, practice questions and problems your teacher has given you. Spend some time every day practicing problems and questions over AP Chem content. Tip number 4, practice working through AP-style free response questions. If you're serious about scoring well on the AP Chemistry exam, work through old AP questions, especially free response questions. The reason this is so important is that most students don't get a chance to practice many of these types of questions, especially FRQs with 8, 9, and even 10 parts, where each part may be from a completely different part of the course. Your exam will have 7 FRQs. 3 of them will be long, worth 10 points each. 4 of them will be shorter, worth 4 points each. On a long FRQ, part A might be over equilibrium, part B might be acid-base, part C might be thermodynamics. These are rapid-fire questions that make you think on your feet, work quickly, get an answer, and move on. You need practice working through these kinds of questions well before the exam, and lots of it. If you do a Google search for AP Chemistry past exam questions, you'll find a link to lots of old FRQs, and you can work through these and see the answer keys put out by College Board. I have several of these worked out on my channel here as well if you prefer a video explanation. So make sure you get lots of practice on AP style free response questions. Tip number 3, know the format and rules of the AP exam. This seems like a trivial thing, but you'd be surprised how many AP students don't know the actual rules for the exam. Like, how long is the test? When is the break and how long is it? Can you use a calculator and what kind can you use? If you're not sure about some of those things, I have a full video dedicated to the rules and regulations of the AP exam so you can get fully acquainted with the format of the test. I'll link to it in the description down below. Now for my number 2 study tip. Focus on content and principles of chemistry, not on memorization. Way too many students focus on trying to memorize equations and constants and vocabulary words. This might have helped you in your chemistry class, but the AP exam does not reward rote memorization of facts and vocabulary words. You're expected to apply your knowledge, use equations to answer a question, and compare the properties of substances to make a decision about those substances. In fact, get to know the AP Chemistry equation packet. You'll have a full periodic table as well as 2 full pages of equations and constants. So don't worry much about memorizing equations. Those will be given to you. Spend your time on skills and concepts. Things like using Coulomb's law to describe why different elements behave differently toward their electrons, or to describe why one ionic compound has a higher melting point than another. Be able to draw a Lewis electron dot diagram and describe the shape and geometry and polarity of a molecule. Understand how to solve stoichiometry problems and be very comfortable with the mole concept. Be able to write a net ionic equation and realize spectator ions aren't actually participating in the reaction. Know how to solve an equilibrium problem using the icebox method. Be able to interpret a titration curve in acid-base chemistry. Know the concepts of enthalpy and entropy and how they contribute to the concept of thermodynamic favorability. These are all big ideas, concepts, and understanding them well will take you a lot farther than just memorizing a bunch of facts. Now, there are a few things you do need to memorize, and I have a video specifically about those. Those are also linked in the description down below. And now for my number 1 study tip for the AP Chemistry exam. Take a full-length practice exam. The AP Chemistry exam is a marathon. 60 multiple choice questions and 7 full free response questions over 3 hours and 15 minutes. For students who aren't prepared for that, test fatigue can set in fairly early. You need to be ready for a test of this length and difficulty well before walking into the exam room in May. Your teacher may give you a full-length mock exam. You can also access full-length practice exams in most commercially available study books, and you'll find one with detailed video explanations on my Ultimate Review packet. But just as important as taking the practice exam is scoring it. Check your answers. Use the scoring guide that comes with it to see what your AP score would be. And if your score isn't what you'd like it to be, then focus on those questions that you missed. See why you missed those questions. If there's content you need to relearn or study, focus on those sections. This is where you'll get the most bang for your buck. As you focus on your weaknesses, you'll be working to raise that AP score. Now, If this seems like a lot to keep straight, then let me recommend the best place to apply most of these study tips. UltimateReviewPacket.com will provide you with full-length review videos for every unit, comprehensive study guides that cover every one of the 91 topics in AP Chem, updated and revised for this year's AP exam, practice questions for every unit, a full-length practice exam with full explanations and all the answers, not to mention exclusive tips and tricks for the AP exam to make sure you get every single point you deserve. It's just $24.99 for a full year's access, and I know you're going to love it. And if you can get your teacher to pay for the whole class, that knocks the price down by 40% to $14.99 per student. It's the best AP Chem review deal out there. So those are my top tips for studying for the AP Chemistry exam. I hope you learned something. If you did, smash that like button. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.